Most people think of creatine as a gym supplement, something for young athletes, bodybuilders, or extreme fitness fanatics. But here's the surprising truth. More and more older adults are starting to take creatine. And the research? It's showing some very promising results, not just for muscle, but for brain health, balance, energy, and even mood. But there's one question that keeps coming up, especially if you have kidney or heart issues. Is it actually safe, or could it be doing more harm than good? If you're over 60 and care about staying strong, clear-headed, and independent, this is something worth understanding. Because creatine isn't just a sports supplement anymore. It's a naturally occurring compound that plays a huge role in how your body produces quick energy. And as we age, our ability to store and use creatine can start to drop. The result? You might feel slower, more fatigued, or even have trouble with things like balance or recovery after a minor illness or injury. And here's the thing. Doctors don't always bring it up, not because it isn't relevant, but because it's been misunderstood. So today we're taking a clear, honest look at what the science really says about creatine, especially if you've been told to watch your kidneys or take it easy because of your heart. If that sounds helpful, consider subscribing. It doesn't cost a thing, and we share simple, science-backed health tips every week, all made for people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. What creatine actually does in your body. Let's start by clearing up one big myth. Creatine is not a steroid. It's not even a drug. It's a naturally occurring substance your body makes from 3 amino acids and stores mostly in your muscles, with small amounts in your brain and other tissues. Think of it like a battery backup for quick bursts of energy. When you climb stairs, stand up from a chair, or react quickly to catch your balance, creatine is there to help power that. And here's the kicker. As you age, your natural levels of creatine start to go down. That means your energy battery might not be as reliable as it once was. In fact, some researchers believe low creatine stores may be one reason older adults experience slower movement, increased fatigue, or difficulty maintaining muscle mass. That's where supplementation comes in. Small amounts of creatine can help restore what your body's missing. And no, you don't need to be lifting weights at the gym to benefit from it. Even basic daily movement, walking, gardening, keeping up with grandkids, uses this same energy system. Why kidney and heart concerns come up now, here's where it gets tricky. You might have heard people say, don't take creatine if you have kidney problems, or it's bad for your heart. Let's unpack that. The concern about the kidneys comes from an old idea that creatine raises a waste product in the blood called creatinine. Now, that's true, but not for the reason people think. Creatinine is a byproduct of muscle activity, and it's what doctors often use to estimate kidney function. When you take creatine, your creatinine levels might rise slightly, but that doesn't mean your kidneys are damaged. In fact, multiple studies, including ones done specifically on older adults, show that low-dose creatine supplementation does not harm the kidneys in healthy individuals, or even in those with mildly reduced kidney function. That's a key point. If your kidney numbers are borderline, or you've been told you have stage 2 or stage 3 kidney disease, which is incredibly common after age 60, it's still worth talking to your doctor. But the idea that creatine hurts your kidneys isn't supported by most modern research. As for the heart, there's no strong evidence that creatine negatively impacts heart function. In fact, some early data suggest it might even be protective, especially in people with congestive heart failure, though that's still being studied. The practical side, why seniors might benefit. So why would someone in their 60s, 70s, or 80s even consider taking creatine? Let's zoom in on the daily stuff. You wake up stiff and slow. You struggle to get out of a low chair. You lose energy halfway through your day. These might sound like normal aging, but they often stem from muscle weakness and low cellular energy. Creatine supports both. In one study from 2021, older adults who supplemented with creatine experienced improved strength and better performance in simple daily tasks, like standing from a chair or walking faster. And in a different study, seniors who combined creatine with light exercise had better results than those who exercised alone. This isn't about building massive muscles. It's about preserving function, protecting independence, and feeling like your body still works for you. The right dosage, and why less, is often more. If you've ever read the label on a tub of creatine at the store, it probably talks about a loading phase, something like taking 20 grams a day for a week. Now, let's pause there. That kind of high-dose protocol was designed for younger athletes trying to saturate their muscles quickly for peak performance. But if you're in your 60s or older, you don't need that much. And in fact, taking too much can cause bloating, stomach discomfort, or water retention. For most older adults, the sweet spot is just 3 to 5 grams per day. That's about one small scoop, taken once daily, with or without food. And there's no need to cycle on and off. Creatine isn't habit-forming. Your body doesn't become dependent on it. Instead, it gently supports your natural energy system, especially when taken consistently. It's kind of like charging a battery. You don't need a full surge. You just want to top it off each day. Timing and absorption. When and how to take it. Now you might wonder, should I take creatine in the morning, with food, before a walk? Here's the good news. Creatine isn't sensitive to timing, but taking it with a small meal, especially one with some carbs, may help it absorb a little better. So if you're having a piece of toast or some fruit in the morning, that's a perfect time. And if you're someone who enjoys walking or doing a bit of light exercise, taking creatine shortly before or after movement might support muscle recovery even more. But don't overthink it. The key is consistency. A small scoop once a day, most days, that's enough to gently support your muscles, brain, and energy reserves. What the science really shows. Here's something that often surprises people. There have been dozens of studies on creatine in older adults, including those over 70 and even some in their 80s. And again, the results point in one direction. Better strength, better mobility, and sometimes even better memory. One review published in the journal Nutrients found that creatine improved muscle strength, bone density, and even cognitive performance when used over several months, especially when combined with any form of physical activity. Dr. Darren Kando, one of the lead researchers on aging and creatine, put it simply, creatine may be one of the most effective supplements for preserving muscle and bone health in older adults. And importantly, it appears to be safe. That last part matters, because while safety always depends on the individual, your overall health, your medications, your medical history, the overwhelming majority of studies show no harm to kidney, liver, or heart function when creatine is taken at modest doses. Still, you should always check with your doctor, especially if you're on medications that affect fluid balance, or if you've had a kidney transplant or advanced heart failure. But for most seniors, it's not the danger it was once made out to be. What about water retention or weight gain? Let's clear up one more worry. Will I gain weight on creatine? Technically, yes, but not in the way most people fear. Creatine helps your muscles hold on to a little more water. It's not fat, and it's not swelling. It's your cells becoming better hydrated, which can improve how your muscles contract and recover. For most people, this might mean gaining 1 to 2 pounds of water weight in the first week or two, but this actually supports better function. Think of it like watering a plant. You're not making it fatter. You're helping it thrive. And here's something interesting. Some people actually feel less stiff or less sore after movement once their creatine stores are up, partly because hydrated muscles and tissues recover faster. Why this matters more than ever. After 60. So what does all of this mean in real life? It means that small changes, like taking a few grams of creatine each day, could help you do the things that matter. Getting out of a chair without needing help, climbing stairs with confidence, walking farther without fatigue, and maybe even feeling sharper when you read, cook, or chat with loved ones. Creatine won't reverse aging. It's not a magic pill, but it is one of the most studied, least expensive, and widely available supplements that has real potential to support quality of life as we age. And for something so simple, that's pretty powerful. Creatine's surprising role in brain health. When most people think of creatine, they picture muscle, strength, endurance. But what if we told you it may also help your brain? That's not hype. That's real, developing science. Your brain uses an enormous amount of energy even when you're just sitting and thinking. And just like your muscles, your brain cells rely on creatine to produce quick, usable energy, especially during mentally demanding tasks. This matters even more with age. As we grow older, our ability to store and utilize creatine in the brain can decline, just like it does in our muscles. And that can show up in ways that are frustrating. You might forget why you walked into a room, you struggle to find a word you know, or you just feel mentally foggy, slower to respond, less sharp than you used to be. Early studies suggest that supplementing with creatine may help improve working memory, reaction time, and mental fatigue, especially during stressful or demanding moments. Think about that. A simple, inexpensive compound, something your body already makes, might actually help you think more clearly. Mood, motivation, and energy. Now here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. Creatine may have subtle effects on mood and motivation, and it might be especially relevant for seniors dealing with low energy or mild depression. In one study, older adults who supplemented with creatine showed not just better strength, but also improved emotional well-being. The reason might come down to energy efficiency. When your brain and body are better fueled, everything feels easier. You're more likely to get out of the house, more likely to stay active, more likely to connect with people you care about. It's a domino effect. And for someone who's been feeling low or stuck in a rut, that small nudge in energy and clarity can be the difference between a hard day and a hopeful one. Creatine doesn't treat depression, but it may support brain metabolism in a way that improves resilience, especially when used alongside healthy lifestyle habits. Safety with medications. What to know. By now you might be thinking, okay, this sounds good, but what if I'm on meds? A completely valid question. Many adults over 60 take daily medications for blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, or pain. So how does creatine fit into that picture? Here's the reassuring part. Creatine doesn't interact with most common medications. It's not metabolized by the liver the way drugs are, and it's not processed through the same kidney pathways as many pharmaceuticals. That said, if you're taking medications that affect fluid retention, kidney filtration, or heart rhythm, it's still important to check in with your doctor. That includes things like diuretics, water pills, ACE inhibitors, or ARBs, for blood pressure, certain medications for heart failure. Why? Not because creatine is inherently dangerous, but because your overall hydration balance and kidney function may already be a little more sensitive. In most cases, with proper hydration and modest dosing, creatine is well tolerated. But getting a simple blood test, checking your eGFR and creatinine levels before starting can help make sure you're in the clear. It's about being proactive, not fearful. Long-term use. What happens if you stay on it? Another question that comes up a lot is this: what if I take creatine every day for years? Is there a risk of overloading your body, wearing down your organs? The current evidence says probably not. In fact, many long-term studies, some lasting over 2 to 5 years, have shown no harmful effects on kidney, liver, or heart health in adults who took creatine daily at standard doses. The body seems to adapt well to having slightly higher creatine stores. And if at any point you decide to stop, that's fine too. Your body gradually goes back to its baseline levels. There's no withdrawal, no crash, and no rebound effect. That's one of the most reassuring things about creatine. It supports your biology without disrupting it. A simple support for a complex body? Let's take a step back for a moment. Why does any of this matter? Because aging isn't just about counting birthdays. It's about preserving your ability to do the things that make life meaningful, to move freely, think clearly, stay engaged in your world. Creatine isn't a miracle, but it's a small, well-studied tool that might help support those goals. And for something that costs just cents per day, that's a very high return on investment. So maybe you're thinking, this actually sounds like something I'd like to try, but how do I do it right? Start simple. You don't need to overthink the brand or form. Look for creatine monohydrate. It's the most studied, the most affordable, and the most effective. Skip anything labeled micronized, buffered, or with fancy blends unless you have a specific reason. Next, dose wisely. Just 3 to 5 grams per day. That's one small scoop. No loading phase, no cycling on and off, and hydrate. Creatine draws water into your muscles and tissues, so be sure to drink a few extra glasses of water throughout the day. Not gallons, just enough to stay comfortably hydrated. If you're already working on strength or balance exercises, even just walking or light stretching, creatine can quietly amplify those efforts. But even if you're not active, studies show it can still support muscle preservation and cognitive clarity over time. And of course, if you're taking medications or have a history of kidney or heart issues, check with your doctor. Not because creatine is dangerous, but because it's wise to make sure all your gears are turning smoothly together. Now, let's zoom out. There's something really powerful about a moment like this, when you realize that strength, clarity, and vitality don't have to fade as the years go by. We've been told that aging means slowing down, that you should just accept the aches, the brain fog, the lack of energy. But that's not the whole story. You're not just surviving time, you're adapting, you're evolving, and you still have the power to make choices that protect and preserve the things that matter most: your movement, your independence, your spark. Creatine is just one small piece of that bigger puzzle, but sometimes it's the little pieces that quietly shift the whole picture. So, if you've been feeling a little weaker lately, if your steps feel slower or your memory fuzzier, just know this: there's always something you can do. You are not broken. You're a system that responds to care. And with the right support, your muscles, your brain, your energy, they can all find new rhythm again. Aging doesn't mean giving up. It means living wiser. And every small, smart choice you make, like learning about something as overlooked as creatine, is a step in the right direction. If you found this helpful, consider subscribing. We share practical, science-backed health tips every week, made just for adults over 60 who want to keep living strong, clear, and confident. Thanks for being here. Take care of yourself.